station. This is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston station, we're ready for the event.
CBS Radio, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, good morning. This is CBS News Radio. How do you hear us?
We've got you loud and clear. Good morning.
Commander Dan Burbank and Flight Engineer Don Pettit, good morning. This is Peter King. Bill Harwood will be joining me in just a moment. And we just want to start with the news of the day, and that is this solar storm that we've all been talking about that's pretty much turned out to be a bust. But we're wondering, and I think a lot of people would love to know, for Commander Burbank, what is protecting you from solar storms, solar flares, and the like?
Well, yeah, you should. Well, in general, Peter, the same thing that's protecting you and all the folks on planet Earth. Most of the work is done by the Earth's magnetosphere, and we're above the atmosphere. So there's some of the protection that you also get by the atmosphere that we don't benefit from. The space station hull itself actually protects us some, and it kind of depends on the energy of the particles. Don here has a particle detector that's actually showing you, I don't know if you're able to hear it at all, but it actually gives you an LED readout, and it'll actually indicate particle events. And depending on where we are in our orbit, there'll be times when that'll actually be a little bit more energetic, and if the sun's more energetic, you'll actually see an indication on here as well.
If the situation were to become more dangerous, by the way, we are hearing that. Thank you for that. If the situation were to become more dangerous, where would you go for better protection?
There's actually a place in the back part of the space station in the service module that's probably the best shielded place we have on space station from a radiation standpoint. You know, ultimately, if it got serious enough, then you always have the capability of returning. And in low Earth orbit, generally speaking, I don't think that's ever been really a big issue. We get reports, and the spaceflight meteorological folks that track this for NASA give us reports regularly. The doctors track it as well. We wear dosimeters. We actually have dosimeters in our pockets. We take those up with us uphill and have them while we're on orbit as well. And we got lots of folks and lots of technology that kind of has our back when it comes to radiation.
Great. And for Don, you know, we've seen some pretty amazing pictures that you guys have sent back, especially the Northern Lights, but we'd love a word picture on what you've been able to see, not just with the Northern Lights, but if you've been able to observe any of that sun activity out further into deep space from your vantage point.
Right now, we have good viewing in the southern hemisphere during the nighttime. So we're looking at Aurora Australis, and if it wasn't for this press interview right now, I'd be in the cupola taking pictures, because we're currently between Antarctica and Australia, and that's where the hot region, so to speak, and this cosmic ray detector. Time.
Don, we lost the last part of your answer. If you could backtrack just a couple seconds here.
Okay, right now we're looking at Aurora Australis. The phase of our flight is conducive for looking at that, and we're seeing good displays of that. And it looks like luminous amoebas crawling around in the sky. Aurora is one of the most beautiful natural phenomenology that you can see at nighttime when you're in orbit.
Hey guys, this is Bill Harwood over at the Kennedy Space Center, and Don, that's a fabulous description. You know, we've seen some video in recent weeks, time-lapse stuff that shows the aurora with great effect, I think, on the ground. But of course, nobody's got a bird's-eye view like you guys.
You know, I also like to say that there should have been a Greek goddess of Aurora. We have the goddess of the rainbow, the goddess of the sky, the goddess of waterfalls, and the goddess of all these other things. Aurora is something that there should be a goddess of Aurora.
Yeah, I guess there should. That's a pretty good description. Hey, let me shift gears real quick and touch on a couple of other things. And first, let me ask you a question, Dan. I was thinking the other day that if this had been the normal schedule, you'd be packing up, I guess, to head out in a week or so and come home, but instead, of course, you're here till the end of April. What kind of adjustment did that require of you to kind of reset your psychological clock, I guess, for an extended duration stay?
Actually, Bill, I think everybody on board was very happy to have a little bit more time here. We actually lost some time on our expedition, Anton, Anatoly, and I, because of a delay in our launch, and we were actually kind of happy to get the time back on the other end. Now, it's unfortunate, and certainly it's a difficult thing to work through from an engineering standpoint to have to accelerate the processing for the other Soyuz vehicles. But just on a purely personal basis, it's great to have a little bit more time up here.
Yeah, I bet, especially when you get to see something like these Aurora. Let me ask Don Pettit a quick question. We were out here, I guess, a week or so ago, and SpaceX stood up the Falcon 9 and the Dragon on top, and I guess that thing's supposed to actually get there around the 3rd of May on the current schedule anyway. Can you give us a little sense of what you guys have to do? I know Dan will be gone, but what you and Andre have to do to get ready for that, to be prepared for it, or are you already ready? I'm not sure how much additional work is required.
There's a fair amount of work when a visiting vehicle comes up, and Dragon and Cygnus and HTV all come close to station, and then we snag them with a robotic arm, and it's kind of like a lasso and a steer in the rodeo. Hopefully it's not going to be bucking so much, and we just fly into it with the arm and grapple it, and then we berth the spacecraft to one of our berthing ports. And then we open up the hatch and unload all the supplies.
This is Peter again, and a question for both of you. This has to do with the extended stay, and I'm asking this because I got my refund today. I'm wondering if you guys have both gotten your taxes done, and if there's anything you have to do from up there to make it happen.
I haven't filed my taxes because I was in orbit, but I don't think that's much of an excuse, or I won't be filing mine, but I did put in an extension before launch. I figured that would be a safe thing to do.
Commander?
Yeah, same here.
Smart move and good planning on both your parts. This is an election year, and, later on we'll be asking about people voting and stuff from space. But for the first time in a long time, space is part of the political equation. You're probably aware that one candidate has talked about moon bases and multiple rocket launches week after week from here in Florida. I'm wondering how you guys feel about this being part of the political landscape for the first time in a very long time.
Well, I think, and I've said this before, but I think if you're talking to astronauts or anybody in the space business, including all the folks that make it possible that work with us on the ground, you could never go fast enough or far enough for us. And it's always a good thing to have space elevated a little bit in the public consciousness. It is such a very small amount that we, as a people, as taxpayers, invest in space, and for that we get so much as a benefit. It goes directly into our tax base, certainly, but the technology, that you're in space and able to kind of push the bounds of human experience, that in itself is priceless. But it's on the order of 0.5% of the wherewithal, the federal budget of the United States that we spend in space, and for that you get an awful lot. And I for one would love to see us do more. Now, with that said, we've got an awful lot of things that command our attention, and there's a lot of issues we need to work on the ground as well. But there's an awful lot of good we can do up here, and it benefits us on the ground.
I get one more question here, so I'm going to throw this over to Don Pettit because you've got a new video that's been up online using the Angry Birds to teach physics. Tell us a little bit about why it's important to use something that's that well known to reach out to young people here.
When you look at everyday life on Earth, whether it's entertainment or whether it's driving your car to work or whether you're just running the vacuum cleaner to clean your house, all of these endeavors utilize technology, and some of the technology we take for granted, and it's not necessarily simple technology. It may be basic technology, but it can get, the details can get rather involved. And I thought the Angry Birds was an interesting way to capture young people's minds and let them know that there's more to a video game than just shooting things and watching them splat on a wall. There's a lot of physics involved, and if you want to figure out how this game works, you need to understand the physics, and you can be a young person playing video games, and when it's all said and done, well, you know how to play a video game. But if you understand the physics behind it and you learn about the computer programming, when you're done with your entertainment, when you're done with your hobby, you can go out and get yourself a good job, and you can do interesting things with the knowledge that you gain. So I see any number of these venues as a means of getting people to become aware of the technology around them and become interested in the technology. It helps you be better citizens and ultimately allows you to go out and do very interesting things with your life.
Well, great. Don Pettit and Commander Dan Burbank, we thank you both for your time. Have a great rest of your flight. Stay safe, and we'll look forward to seeing you back down here on Earth in a few weeks.
Peter, Bill, thanks very much. It was great spending time with you today.
Us too.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes the event.
Thank you, CBS Radio. Station, please stand by while we reconfigure video and audio communications.